welcome to the video. I haven't done a video in a while, but I thought I needed to make one. It's about time. I get a lot of questions about residency, so I wanted to make a new video about that. Essentially, in this video, I'll be talking about some of the things you need to brush upon before, if you are someone who is expecting to start residency in the US shortly. So this is the type of video I hoped I had before I started residency, so I hope you find meaning in this. So one of the most common questions I get is preparation tips regarding reading materials. So what I'd say is, before starting residency, if you haven't done step 3 yet, you should read for step 3 and take the exam. That's going to free up a lot of your time before you for when you start residency, and that allows you to focus on your patients and do patient-based reading instead of studying for the exam. Even if you don't take the USMLE Step 3 exam before residency, it's important for you to study for the exam and be ready to take it within the first couple of months of residency. So that's the first thing. And then obviously, once you start residency, you do patient-based reading, and I'll talk about the resources later on in the video as well. One thing you need to understand is, especially internal medicine residency, it's mostly dependent on your clinical reasoning. For you to be a good internal medicine doctor, you need to have good clinical reasoning. And clinical reasoning is all about diagnostic schemas and illness scripts. So diagnostic schemas are basically mental framework of how you can reach to a diagnosis, and illness script is basically a script of what the common manifestations of a disease is and what are the salient features of a disease. It's very important to practice those, and when you're reading, to really hone those skills, not just passively read books. There's also lots of resources online. One of the resources that I found useful was Clinical Problem Solvers here on YouTube. You can check them out. They have a very good channel that focuses on clinical reasoning, and it's very interesting. There are lots of interesting discussions going on their channel, so do check them out. What is first day advice? This is another question that I got. What are essential items to bring? So most of the residents here in the US, most of the healthcare workers just wear scrubs, which was vastly different from where I came from, where they do formal attires. But here the trend is wearing scrubs, and they're, honestly, I don't fault them. They're very comfortable, and that's what I wear now. Get a good stethoscope. It's gonna serve you for your entire residency, so might as well get a good stethoscope. And then I use for writing notes about like patients and stuff. Regarding taking like short notes, chart checking patients and taking short notes, I use small cards like these, where I write patient information on these small cards. I write the diagnosis and why the patient is here, basically, and the medications on these small cards. And then on the back of it, I write the plan, the vital signs, if there's anything new. And I use pencils when I write on these small cards, so I can erase what I wrote and basically use the same card throughout the hospital stay of the patient. So I would highly recommend you do the same thing instead of using a new paper every day. That's what I use, and it saved me a ton of time and allows you to read on your patients and not waste time just writing stuff. And that's pretty much it. Another question I get is, what are the common cases or clinical conditions that you'll encounter? So I do internal medicine, so the most common cases are common elsewhere in the world as well. Heart failure, pneumonia, other infections, UTIs, enterocolitis, cellulitis, GI bleed, AKI, and basic stuff, and then comorbidities, diabetes, glycemic control while in hospital, electrolyte disorders, acid-base balance is pretty important. It's not so much about difficult cases. Once in a while you get those zebra cases, of course, that create diagnostic dilemmas, but the challenge from residency is usually from the sheer number of patients you get, and not with the complexity of a single patient. But you obviously have a team with an attending and co-residents that you work with, so nothing you can't handle. What are some of the learning resources that you recommend is the other question I always get. So for the most part, like almost everyone uses UpToDate. There's also another version of UpToDate. Basically, that's a short one called Dynamed. That's I think a subscription if you're not an ACP member, but UpToDate is pretty fine. It's pretty comprehensive, and most of the disease processes you can get them there. So that's I think the number one resource everyone uses. But if you want to read Harrison's, it's kind of bulky. Do patient-based reading. Oftentimes, if you do passive reading, we forget 80% of what we read, so it just goes in one ear and goes out another. But if you do patient-based reading, you're more likely to retain the information. So, what are the common challenges? They ask me about asking me about long hours, work-life balance. So, as anywhere, working in medicine as a doctor is you have to work hard. Working hard is part of the job. You can't have all the benefits without working hard. So, but that being said, internal medicine itself is not bad. It's one of the least busy specialties out there, to be honest, especially compared to like something like neurosurgery or orthopedics. They work crazy hours. Internal medicine residency programs, usually it depends on the program, to be fair, but most programs you're not going to be overworked as much as other surgical specialties. Our program is usually like 50 to 60 hours per week, but that's residency, so it's not bad at all. Another person asks about networking and mentorship. So networking is of immense importance in residency, especially for those people who want to do fellowship. If you want to do fellowship, and if you are sure what fellowship you want to pursue once you get into residency, I highly encourage you to reach out to a mentor to help you progress in that direction as soon as you can. Now, why is it important to reach out to a mentor as soon as possible? Because you want to start cranking out a research project, you want to be participating in research project, you want to develop that skill and learn the research part if you want to go into fellowship. If you're not interested in fellowship, or if you don't know what fellowship you're interested in, then take your time for the first 6 months to a year. You can try out different things and see what your interest is. But if you're interested in fellowship, especially competitive fellowships like cardiology or GI or HEMONC, then I highly encourage you to reach out to mentors in your own hospital. By mentors, I mean, of course, attendings in your own hospital that you work with in your clinic, so they can help you with that. I think that's pretty much it. Some of the things that you can expect once you start your residency in the US. If you have any questions that you'd like me to answer, comment down in the comment section below. And if you like the video, subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.